I beg to move that this House suspends Mr. S. Iswaran from the service of Parliament for the remainder of the current session of the 14th Parliament.
They are judging whether Mr. Iswaran had committed a wrongdoing even before the details of the investigation are out.
如国会选择支持英兰妮的动议，而否决前进党动议，这意味着易华仁部长在他因接受调查而放假期间，每月继续领取超过16000元国会议员津贴。
As much as I can understand public frustration with having to wait while investigations are underway, we must allow due process to run its course.
Firstly, he is no longer performing his duties as a Member of Parliament. Secondly, this case involves corruption, a crime we have always maintained we have zero tolerance for. For many years, the government has justified the high salaries for political office holders on the basis of ensuring that our government remains honest and free of corruption. This is why many Singaporeans, including myself, find it difficult to accept that taxpayers' money is being used in this way. Is this a good use of tax revenue? Isn't this a drain on our resources? This motion is therefore about the prudent use of taxpayers' money, not a presumption of guilt. While we do not want corrupt MPs to benefit financially, we must balance that with ensuring that innocent MPs do not have to pay a price for accusations or suspicions that later proved unfounded. We are not advocating that any MP who is under investigation should be suspended. We do, however, maintain that an MP or minister who is under investigation for corruption and suspended from official duties should be put on no-pay leave until the investigation or criminal case is concluded, and will only receive back pay if they are subsequently cleared by the investigation or criminal case.
The Workers' Party cannot agree to the motion filed by the PSP. It would not just be unfair and premature, but significantly, this House would be seeking to overturn the electoral mandate given to Mr. Iswaran by the people through the ballot box. While it may not be appropriate to suspend Mr. Iswaran from Parliament, it may well be appropriate to suspend the payment of his MP's allowance. There is disquiet amongst members of the public because he continues to collect his allowance. As far as I know, Mr. Iswaran is neither performing duties in his constituency nor in Parliament, and his likeness is not found on Town Council or People's Association banners in West Coast GRC.
Mr. Speaker, at the end of the day, it is important that we deal with situations like these objectively and dispassionately. We should not attempt to exploit such situations for political ends, but rather to do the right thing at the right time. PSP's argument is that I want to cut your pay. And because I want to cut your pay, I want to suspend you. In other words, this is the result I want, and therefore I will suspend you. But that is not the correct approach, because when you look at our rules, you will see that generally suspension is a punishment. It is punitive in nature generally. And the cutting of pay is a consequence. So I would be very, very cautious before we say that we suspend a member just because we can. It is quite important that we should establish the principles of suspension. First, she said it's because Mr. Iswaran is under investigation for corruption, and corruption is a serious offense. But then I asked Ms. Phua, what about rape? What about murder? Ms. Phua did not have an answer. She said she had not thought about that, which means that she had not thought about the principle. Now this is worrying because it means that when PSP advocates something, they're not acting as a matter of principle, but as a matter of targeting a specific individual. And that is my concern. Then the next point that she made was because he was under arrest. When you're under investigation, the part of police procedure is that you're under arrest, but I come back to the same point. This is still at the investigative stage, and you have not actually established whether there was any wrongdoing. So then she made the next point that he was not performing his duties. Here, let me just make a very short digression to say that whilst he has not been able to perform his duties as an MP, his constituents are still being looked after. Then Ms. Hua talked about the question that if it's taxpayers' money that is being used in the interim period. But the important question is, what is the principle? You don't suspend somebody just because you don't want to pay him. You have to suspend him because there is a principle that has been breached or a threshold has been crossed. Now, it may well be, depending on the outcome of the investigations, that threshold may be crossed. I don't know. None of us know at this stage. So that is why my motion at this point in time says that we should wait until the outcome of the investigations before deciding what to do, simply because that threshold has not yet been met.